Let's begin our mindfulness practice now. Observing the 5 precepts as the foundation for our spiritual practice. Abstaining from killing and harming, abstaining from stealing, abstaining from sexual misconduct, abstaining from lying, and abstaining from harmful drugs and intoxicants. Observing these 5 important training practices based on our loving kindness and compassion toward ourselves and others. Even accepting yourself as a perfect human being, as a spiritual person at this moment, as you observe these 5 training principles, and appreciating this very moment, and being very happy about your spiritual practice. Let's begin our mindfulness practice with a joyful mind, happy mind, maintaining the proper posture with upright body and gently closed eyes. Appreciating and experiencing the peacefulness and the silence around you. And feel the presence of yourself in this peaceful atmosphere. And taking a few deep inhalations and exhalations, some long, mindful and gentle breaths, releasing any tension and negative energies from the body. Experiencing the each breath throughout the body. You may bring your total attention to your inner experience, to your psychophysical entity, withdrawing your attention completely from the outside world. So take a few deep breaths, filling your entire lungs. And relax. You may take a few moments to observe and experience the beautiful stillness within your posture as you maintain a very still and relaxed posture. Letting go of all the thoughts, past memories, and other mental images from the mind, simply focusing on the stillness in your body as you do not make any conscious movements, just by letting it be. Embracing the beautiful present moment as you experience the peaceful stillness within your body and mind, letting go of the past, letting go of the future. Limiting your mind just to your psychophysical entity. Wherever you move your attention, feel the stillness. Simply letting your body breathe in and out naturally. No matter what happened in the past, and no matter what will happen in the future, what you experience within this moment, within your body and mind, is the most important experience for you. We can directly take our responsibility in how we maintain this present moment. The more still you are, more sensitive, more attentive, more alert you become. Just like a peaceful, still pool with clear water that you can even see right to the bottom. So see if there's any tension or any strain in your body. You can release them simply by sending some loving, healing energies from your own heart, or maybe mindfully and slowly adjusting your posture. Now, as you maintain this beautiful, peaceful inward attention, as you do not pay any attention to your sensory experience at this moment, you are pretty much aware of your inner experience, your mental experience. So let us take this opportunity to observe the nature of the mind at this moment, just to see how you feel your mind, what goes in and out through the mind, without any special focus to any of these mental objects, thoughts, or past memories, simply letting anything arise in the mind, but remaining as an observer without identifying yourself with any of these mental experiences, always observing them objectively. Simply observing how these thoughts and other mental experiences arise in the mind and how they cease to exist as the nature of impermanence, when there are thoughts in the mind, simply being aware of them. If you can simply identify them according to the 5 hindrances, desire for sensual pleasure, aversion, or sloth and torpor, restlessness and worries, or doubts and skeptical thoughts. Simply identifying them if they arise in the mind, and whenever your mind is free from these hindrances, simply identifying the mind, the mental experience to be calming, so soothing and peaceful experience. Even to see if there's any suffering, mental pain in your mind at this moment. And even if there's nothing like that, just to appreciate, just to identify that peaceful, happy and tranquil state of mind. Somehow, see if you can completely stop consciously thinking, replicating any thought. always maintaining the moment-to-moment awareness on the mind and other mental objects or activities. Always trying to keep the mind awake and alert with the present moment. And simply understanding what you experience in your mind for this moment is your mental reality for you for this moment. Or simply you become what you experience for this moment. Now, as we experience this spiritual happiness, physical and mental well-being, these positive states of experience, let's share all these positive feelings now with all living beings in the world, in the universe, as our loving kindness and compassion, letting our love go to all beings in all directions, wishing them, may all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be relaxed. May all beings be peaceful. Broadening your heart, and broadening your mind, feeling the deep sense of connectedness with all beings. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be relaxed. May all beings be peaceful. Now, taking a few deep breaths again, refreshing your body and mind, understanding the posture, you may open your eyes. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay. Do we have any question or anything to share from today's practice? Before we go to our usual Dhamma discussion. No question? Okay. So in that case, we can go to our usual Dhamma sharing. So these days, Monday evenings, we have been discussing on the Satipatthana Sutta, the four foundations of mindfulness. So lately, we have been focusing on the mind, the Chittanupassana, and the Dhammanupassana means to observe the conditions of the mind. So in that category, in that topic, in that particular section of mindfulness, we spoke about focusing on the 5 hindrances as mental conditions. So today we have to talk about the 5th one. So I mentioned them briefly even during the techniques today, just to simply be aware of these hindrances, as these different distractions arise in the mind from time to time. So these 5 hindrances are identified as the desire for sensual pleasures, right? That's a very common hindrance to all of us, from time to time, even during the meditation, different thoughts, memories, emotions can arise in the mind related to our past experiences, related to our sensual desire, craving, or attachment. And these mental conditions can distract us from time to time. So they are observed in meditation mindfully, how they arise in the mind, or when they arise in the mind, in what conditions, what circumstances they arise in the mind, and what happens to your mind and to the body, possibly, whenever this hindrance is present in your mind. And they change. This mental object, this hindrance, change, and they come to an end at a certain point, or they cease to exist. So we simply observe this hindrance as they arise and pass away mindfully. The second one is the aversion, the opposite of craving or attachment for sensual pleasure, the anger, still related to our past experiences. Can be physical, mental, emotional. For any of these conditions, we experience some aversion, anger, or if you hate something, if you don't like something in your mind, it is identified and clearly observed mindfully. And then another hindrance arises in the mind as sloth and torpor, that laziness. You don't find any motivation. So it also functions as a hindrance to the mind. So in a severe case, one may end up in falling asleep because of that hindrance. There you may find it's difficult. It's hard to stay awake. Keep your mind engaged in your mindfulness practice on whatever the object you are trying to focus on, because of different conditions. So we spoke about them. And then the fourth hindrance is the restlessness and worries. So this is also a very common hindrance we experience from time to time. Because of many reasons, it can become very difficult, very hard and challenging to come to one pointedness, right? Come to the present moment, where you easily experience your attention, yourself being all over the place, thoughts one after the other. You find it's very difficult to control that, So these hindrance, these different thoughts, disturbing thoughts can come to your mind even without your intention. You don't want to have them, but they still arise in the mind. That is the nature of the mind, how they work, So sometimes you experience that hindrance, restlessness, okay? And along with that restlessness, the worries about things, worries about the past, worries about the future, or any other condition related to your experience can come and distract you in a peace and harmony, And the fifth hindrance is the vicikiccha, we call. Vicikiccha means uh, the doubtful thoughts, skeptical thoughts, or confusing thoughts. You know, uh, that also a disturbance in our mind. From time to time, they can arise in the mind. Uh, and it can be experienced differently from person to person. So this is the hindrance we have to talk about today in detail. So we can understand, we can identify this hindrance of vicikiccha in different ways. First of all, different thoughts, confusions, doubts can arise even during the meditation. If you have no clear idea of what you are doing, or why you do this, why you practice meditation or mindfulness practice, right? So having no any clear thought, idea, purpose even, can easily contribute to have these skeptical thoughts, doubtful thoughts. That means you question many things, and we have to be careful in understanding this. Questioning is not bad always, right? Because this is how we learn things, right? About what we practice, what we try to do, what we experience. We question that, right? If they are not clear to us, definitely we should question that. This way we learn what these things are, right? Why we do these things, why this thing is happening to me. So we question them, but it can be experienced as a hindrance, like if it discourages you, if it really makes you restless, uncomfortable, not peaceful, and that is the level of these doubtful, skeptical thoughts that we need to control. It arises from time to time. Okay, so therefore we need to have a clear understanding before we do this, or by the time we practice it, or by the time you sit for this meditation, what you really want to experience, what you really want from this, why you do this, right? Even to have some clear understanding by reading, by discussing, talking to your friends or any teacher, most importantly, to know what you don't know about these techniques, spirituality, these questions in a spiritual way, right? To understand them, as we all can see, we may not have complete understanding about all these questions at the beginning, right? Which is impossible. But we should have at least some sort of understanding, some clarifications, what these things are, why I need this, This is where the real foundation is established within our practice. It really helps us. It really gives us the courage and determination to continue this kind of practice. Okay, this is what I identify in the Dhamma, especially in the Noble Eightfold Path. The first condition, first quality is the right understanding, right perspective, right? So this has to be clearly established within our practice. That means we should at least have some sort of understanding, what I really need in my life, the purpose of our life. So it becomes a kind of broad understanding, different perspective to our life, a different kind of understandings can be there, You identify maybe some problems in you, some issues, physical, mental, emotional. Definitely, this is how many people begin a spiritual practice. A spiritual practice. This is how they enter into any spirituality, right? Because it gives them a purpose. Without a purpose, without a reason, nobody would follow any spiritual value or any spiritual quality, right? So to understand actually your problem, your issue, sometimes, maybe some weaknesses in ourselves, some challenging situations or experience in oneself. So then you want to get rid of it, at least to understand what these things are mindfully in a spiritual way, right? This comes along with the first noble truth, the understanding of the noble truth of the problem, suffering, unsatisfactoriness within our everyday life experience. Only then we develop kind of urgency, kind of intention, purpose to be free from this problem or issue. It can really motivate you in this spiritual practice. So therefore, to clearly understand your situation, what you are looking for exactly, is a great way to eliminate this hindrance of doubt, confusing thoughts. Okay. So many things can be helpful there, as I mentioned earlier. Reading some stuff, right? Reading something about what you do, what you practice, some Dhamma, the teachings, and most importantly, to talk to others, share your experience, share your knowledge with others, those who are helpful to you, finding proper people, individuals, spiritual friends. So that way you can eliminate these confusions easily. And also, very importantly, to think wisely, mindfully. That is also very important in the Dhamma and the teachings. We call it the manasika. Mindfully think, mindfully analyze something, not out of your emotions or blind faith, but wisely, intelligently, mindfully, maybe logically, try to understand things, what you experience, that way you can clearly understand things. So these are the ways to control or get rid of these skeptical thoughts, doubtful thoughts, confusing thoughts. Okay. For some people, it is an attitude. What is that attitude? They question everything. If you give an answer to them, that answer also becomes a question for that person. There are attitudes actually in people. Some people are fascinated about that attitude. They never get satisfied. You can never make them happy. Talking to them, giving answers, solutions, they never get satisfied because of their attitude of questioning. We can see that they are not really happy most of the time. They are restless in their mind because of that attitude, because they cannot come to a conclusion, therefore. So I see in some educated people, they think that the proper way to learn things is to question everything. When they take it wrong, they keep questioning everything without coming to a conclusion. For them, there's no right or bad or anything, positive or negative things, because all these things are questionable for them. So you can see where they are following, getting at. There's no any clear path for them. Always confusions are there. Very simple things can easily confuse them, disturb them, distract them. Sometimes they are happy about it. They don't identify that as a problem, issue, a hindrance. So we have to be very careful there. Very mindful when this hindrance arises in our mind. So in meditation, we directly mindfully observe them as they arise in mind and what they do to you, within this present moment. That clear understanding can help you in your day-to-day life when these things happen to you. Confusions, if you can think of, it happens most of the time. It happens all over the place, actually. Confusions, not knowing things properly, not understanding someone correctly can lead to many problems, many conflicts, issues, especially within relationships. We can see that, right? So confusions are really frustrating, actually. So we need to understand this also, which is to know everything is impossible, right? It doesn't mean that we need to know everything, but we need to know what is important to me, and you should know that better. That can help you there. You should know what is most important to you, what is most beneficial to you. That you need to master. You need to learn, you need to study, you need to practice and cultivate. You need to research, you need to discuss about those things. So then your life can be very easy and comfortable. To have an attitude of knowing everything can make you really restless and unsatisfied. You never get satisfied because there's no end to learn things, right? So therefore, most importantly, what you really need in your life to make you happy, peaceful, and satisfied, that you need to learn. So basically, within this practice, what we can understand is that to learn about this body and mind, our mental conditions, our emotions, because these things are the most important thing for us, because we experience everything within this body and mind, within our sensory experiences. So therefore, in the Buddha's teachings, it emphasizes that we need to have a clear, perfect understanding about the mechanism of our body and mind. So if we do not understand that, we can easily end up in suffering and get caught up in negativities very easily. So then we can clearly see that to eliminate these skeptical thoughts, doubts, confusions, the wisdom is the remedy. Wisdom is the answer, the right understanding, right thinking. Okay. And also a skeptical thought, or this vicikiccha, doubtful thoughts and experience, this hindrance is explained as how you come into a conflicting situation. Okay. Like when you understand these things, okay, when you understand your problem, and when you understand the solution also, you know what to do, what you need to practice, what you need to maintain in your everyday life. But your emotions say something else, totally different thing to you. So your wisdom, your right thinking, your analytical mind, logical mind says something to you, but your traditional, habitual, emotions want you to do something totally different. So many people come in conflict with these two conditions. That's a real confusion for us, right? So even though we understand certain things better, your body wants something totally different. Your mind wants a totally different thing from you, because that is the way we have been coming through for a long, long time. So can you imagine, as Buddha's teachings explains to us the theory or nature of this existence, which means this circle of birth and death that we have been coming through for a long, long time, hundreds of thousands of millions of lifetimes. So we are carrying all our habits, our attachments, cravings, these tendencies over infinite time, duration. So that's where the real conflicts come into play. So can you imagine what kind of powerful, effective wisdom, understanding we need to maintain within the present moment to fight that long-term habit? This is the real conflict, real confusion we all have. Whenever we try to meditate, whenever we try to maintain this present moment awareness, it is something totally different for our system that we have been following for a long, long time. That's why many people fail, actually. They don't want to meditate because they don't have that power. They don't have that skill to control their own habits. We easily fall into our habits, so your mind, your emotions, your habits, your hidden tendencies will not allow you to do these positive things, spiritual things, healthy things for you. So we have been manipulated for a long, long time. This we need to understand. So then this is exactly the winning of our own self, the real battle, actually. According to the Buddha's teachings, Buddha says conquering oneself, conquering one's own mind is the real winning of this world. The most difficult thing to win in this world, to win our own mind. So we can see how these doubtful, skeptical, confusing thoughts are arising in our mind from time to time, and how they distract us, disturb us, keep us away from these positive directions, practice. So we need to control that, to know what to do whenever it is present, not to get distracted by that, even not to let this hindrance control you. You need to maintain the proper mindfulness. If there's any confusion, if there's any question, you need to clear it. You need to understand it better. Maybe not right there, right? Maybe take some time to get to someone, any of your friends. Go to your teachers and explain them and try to learn. This is the way to control that hindrance. Okay, so this is the fifth hindrance. So according to the Buddha's teachings, it clearly explains that whenever our mind is completely free from these hindrances, 5 hindrances, this is where we experience the blissfulness of our mind. Okay, so in the tranquilizing meditation, we don't necessarily completely eradicate them. Within that level, it is difficult. It's not possible to completely eradicate them because they are that much powerful within our system. But as long as we maintain this proper mindfulness on any given meditation object, uh, as we master our mind within these techniques, we control them, we suppress them within our mind, keep them away from arising in mind. Okay. So whenever you have that perfect control over these five hindrances, you experience such a peacefulness, blissfulness of the mind. So it's a very physical, mental experience. Whenever you come to realize that, you have completely suppressed. They can no longer distract you within your meditation. It is such a control that you have over your mind. Okay, that mind to be so powerful, so radiant, even so blissful, brilliant mind. Okay, so when you maintain that peaceful mind over time, this is where even your mind gets into different levels of that peacefulness as powerful states, what we identify as the jhana, different purified states of the mind. This is the purification of the mind. So Buddha says within this human realm of existence, within the divine realms of existence, this is the most blissful state one can attain or experience within this mindfulness meditation, tranquilizing meditation. So there you're no longer engaged in your sensual experience. You have gone beyond that level, completely bound to your mental experience, the peacefulness of the mind. Okay. And it is said that such powerful mind can even perform the miracles, going even beyond this physical conditions, world, right? Like reading others' mind, walking on the water, walking in the air, walking through the walls, and all these things. It is the power of this powerful mind. We all have that. Whenever this mind is purified, controlled from these hindrances, that pure state of mind arises. So this is what we call the Buddha nature. We all have. We are born with that quality of mind. But as we interact with the external world, that pure state of mind has been distracted or weakened even, right? So we collect that energy, the power of the mind, as we control our mind, as we train our mind, mastering our mind to control these hindrances. Okay. So that is the purpose of this meditation. So this is a kind of advanced level of this meditation. But most importantly, in a practical sense, practical understanding, if you think about many problems that people go through in their everyday life, many issues, maybe physical, mental, emotional, relational, even social, all these problems are rooted within these five hindrances. What do you think? They are rooted in these five hindrances. They arise from directly due to the attachment or the craving for the sensual pleasure. Many problems, many issues in their everyday life. Or the opposite, anger, aversion. You don't like, you hate something. You don't want to be with, it creates many problems and issues. And laziness, sloth and torpor, they also cause issues in our life. And restlessness and worries, definitely. We can see how immediately we experience the unhappiness, discomfort, stress and anxiety is directly coming from this hindrance, restlessness and worries. One may not even fall asleep easily, not have a peaceful sleep in the night because of that hindrance. It can really disturb someone. And as I explained earlier, the confusions, not understanding things properly, to doubt everything, these things are causing a lot of problems in our everyday life. So we can see that in two different levels. In a meditative level, we directly identify them, understand them, we try to control them, suppress them, in order for us to achieve this more inner peace and harmony, the tranquility. And the learning lesson there is to address them in our everyday life, off the cushions, whenever we are not meditating, still being aware of our inner experience, right? Our mind and emotions as mental objects or conditions. So this is the real living experience for us. So this practice, therefore, becomes very helpful, very practical for us, to find the real peace and harmony within our everyday life. So they directly connected to our everyday life experience. Okay. So any question, any opinion about these hindrances?
So I just have a question. So
Yes.
you mentioned about the meditation objects.
Mm-hmm.
So breathing is a meditation object. What
Yeah.
are the other different types of objects?
So what did we focus on today during the mind? Mind is a totally different object to focus on, maintain our mindful awareness and the loving kindness meditation, right? And there are different objects explained in the Dhamma, the walking meditation, to contemplate on the unwholesomeness of this body, even. And even to contemplate on the death and dying, these kind of different objects. So they all help us experience that peaceful mind, control these hindrances. Anything else?
Share something that I heard recently, just because I think people may appreciate it. These aren't my thoughts, they're just what I heard, and it stuck with me. It resonated in a way. We know it was recently MLK Day, Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah. And
I was listening to somebody who had studied his life and work, and she pointed out, we all remember him for his commitment to nonviolent protest. We think, well, he was noble because of the nonviolent.
Right.
He wasn't, she pointed out, he wasn't committed to nonviolent protest because it was a nice thing to do. It was because he understood it was the only way to truly be revolutionary. Because the default mode of anger is to feel wrong and to feel justified or even compelled to seek retribution, revenge. But he understood that that's backward looking. And if you channel your anger instead into moral outrage with a goal towards eliminating suffering or making the world a better place, that requires that you break the cycle of violence and that you engage in nonviolent protest as it means to that end. So really that struck me because I said, wow, he was mindful and skillful in his approach. He was very deliberate.
Right.
He was very wise, and he wasn't just saying, I just want to be this nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
He had thought it through and knew exactly how to achieve what he wanted, and that was through nonviolence. Because he flipped the script on how we normally, he was angry, but he channeled that anger in a constructive way for the world.
Exactly. Right. Right.
So I think that to me, it's like looking at what somebody like that did as a great person that helped everyone.
Right.
We all can apply on a micro level that philosophy in our own lives.
Right. Right.
You know.
Yeah. So we can see that the natural happening is totally different, right? When people want to achieve something, control something, they take the violent route, right? That's the nature of the emotions, negative emotions. They easily take that route without knowing the consequence. These emotions make them blind, right? In that case, Martin Luther King, he was very smart, as he said, channeling these conditions productively, right? Approaching these things in a constructive way based on nonviolence.
And a lot of folks don't know he was a student of technology. So
right. Yeah.
He got those ideas somewhere.
Right.
And Gandhi.
And got
I think Gandhi.
exactly. Right.
Before him. Exactly.
He said that as well. He said, I never forgot.
Yeah, he directly says that, I think. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great learning, right?
The same thing, Mother Teresa said something, because somebody invited her to go. Protest, and she said, if it's a protest, like to support love, I will be there. But if you're fighting for love, I am not going to be there.
That's right.
You know, you have to be pro, not against.
Right. Yeah, to choose that, right?
Yeah.
Choose loving kindness and non-violence. It's always good to everyone. Yeah. All right. So I think that will be all for today. So let's be mindful about our hindrances and see how they are distracting us, both physically and mentally, and even emotionally, and how they influence us during our everyday life, and what should be our practice, our awareness on these things. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for joining today. All the blessings to you. Sami.